a new video and a new objective. Now it is time to set up the routes and also the controllers. We took our time, but we're still here. So the first objective is to actually add the route setup and files, then trim the incoming requests, and then also add the controllers functions. So let me explain why. So for example, I am right here. So for example, I have this route, which is like /test. It does something. I can add, if I want another route, I can just simply add another one. And this is going to be, for example, get, and this is like for the auth route, for example, and this is auth, then /, for example, register. So this is a way you can define routes. But it is really the best way? Absolutely not, because you cannot just keep adding, routes right here. It's really not organized, and it's a bad idea. So let me show you how we're going to do this instead. First of all, we have this routes folder, and we will need it. Oh, actually, I deleted it, so let me add it again. That was my bad. So let me add the routes folder back. And then inside of it, I'm going to create an index.js file, which is the entry point for our router. So let's create a global router. So it starts by importing express from express, and then express till the morning. Just bear with me. And then I'm going to create a router, so const router, and this is simply going to be express.router like this. And then you need to export default.router, and now it's available to use. So this is the entry point. I don't want to add also the routes right here. I want them organized depending on what functionality do. So for example, we can have routes for authentication, routes for user, routes for message, routes for chat, etc. So for the routes, I can create another file, which is going to be for the authentication. So it's going to be auth.route.js. I always name my files like this because it's important to understand what this file is. So when it's .route, it's for route. If it's .model, it's for model. If it's middleware, etc. So right here, we're going to do the same thing. So I can actually just take this. I just paste it right here. And in this route, actually, so now I'm in the authentication. So I can actually create a route right here. So I can go, for example, and do router. And you can do it this way. You can go, it's a post request, and it's for /, for example, login. And here is the function. This is a way. There is also the other way, which is use a router and then define a route like this. And it's going to be, for example, let's say /register. And then right here, you define that type. For example, it's going to be a post request. Okay, we just keep typing wrong. So route to register. And it's going to be a post request right here. And here you define your function. So for example, right here, I'll go request and then response. And then here, I'm just going to go response.send hello from register API like that. So this is a way. So we add the route that is register, but it's not known. So first of all, as I add an auth route, I have to actually define it in the index itself. How we do that? I go and import the auth routes, all of them. From where? Just simply from auth.route.js like this. And then I go to the router and I want to use that. So I can go router and then .use, and I can define the URL. So we can define like a prefix. So whenever I want to use an auth route, it starts with /auth. And then right here, I define the auth routes. Okay, it's that simple. So now you could say, if I want to access this like particular register route, I have to actually go to HTTP and then localhost and then the port, which is 1000, then /auth, and then /register. And if we have like routes for the user or like chat, it could be chat, then for example, add or something like that. So now you get my idea. So, but these routes are not added to the actual app. So how we'll do that? I can go right in and define the routes here. So I go to the top and import all the routes from the index. So I go import routes from, and I go to my routes folder and into the index.js. Okay. And now I got all the routes, and then I'm going to use it as a middleware. So I can go app.use, and I can simply do that, the routes, but I can define a prefix. And for me, I always do it this way. I always add a /API. So this is like a prefix for my API, and then also add the version. So for example, this is my first version. I'm gonna make it version 1, and I'm gonna go to my API version 1 routes. And the reason for that, for example, you wanna grow your application, you wanna do other features like, or change a feature, like for example, we had register a certain way, and you wanna change it. But you cannot just go to the same function and change it while the application is in production. You know, you cannot test something while the application is working and users need to register. You would create a different route. For example, this is going to be version 2. We're working on something new. And then we're going to work on those routes, test them. And then if they are right, I'm going to use them right here. So that's why I use versions. Okay. So to make my life easier when I want to advance and, you know, add things. Okay. This way. So this is the route. So now if I want to access like the register route, now the URL is going to be the HTTP, then localhost, then 8000, then the prefix first one, the API, then version 1, then I'm going to go to the route in the index, which is the auth, and then I will access, for example, the register like this, or login or whatever. If I'm working now on like a user, and then I can go / and then find maybe. So you understand how the routes work. Now, if I go back to my auth route, there is this register and it returns hello from register API. So if I want to test that, so we had this test right here, which was to 8000 / test. This now doesn't exist. I'm just going to get this route does not exist. Okay. Can I please? Okay, I cannot, but I can zoom out. Let me just go view and zoom out. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the real API that we just added route. So the added route. So it's going to be to / API, then version 1, then auth, then register like this. And I click enter and I'm going to get hello from register API. So I feel like now you understand how these routes work. So I want to go an extra point right here, which is to actually trim the request that I get. But before that, let's add the controllers. I feel like, you know, it's a good idea to add the controllers. So instead of writing the functions right here in the folder, like in this routes file, it's not a good idea because it's gonna mix, you know, the routes, all this mix with the functionality. It's not a good idea. So you add them in a separate file, which is for the controllers. What I mean by that, I can go to my controllers, create a new file, and this is gonna be auth.controller.js, as we always do, and I can export and then like a function. So export const, and then let's call this register, and then it's equal an asynchronous function that takes a request, a response, and then next, and then simply inside of it, this is what we do in the register function. And also in the register function, we have a try catch, and in the catch, instead, you know, of adding like response.status 500 for the server error, then JSON the message from like the error dot message. This is how you get the server error message. We're not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go simply next error, and it's gonna do the same thing. That's why I like the create HTTP error method that we added. So this way now I have a register function. If I want to add a login function, it's gonna be the same right here. It's gonna be login also. I'm also gonna have a logout function. So let's add this. So this is gonna be for logout, and then this is all in the auth. Then we're gonna have the last one, which is refresh token. So I go refresh token. Okay, and I have all the functions. So I need a function right here. So instead of all of that, I can just simply go right here and call that. So register. Okay, and it's gonna simply come from the controller, and it's not gonna work right here. You add the .js here, and now it's fine. So now I have this register function. Let me add another route, which is gonna be, for example, login. Okay, so this is a login, and then simply this is going to be the login function. Okay, I can add two. This one is going to be for logouts, and this one is going to be the function logouts, and this one is going to be / refresh token. This is the route as we will do, and this one, the function, which is called refresh token. Okay, all come from the controller. So now this is more organized. Another thing that we could do is that, let me show you for example. So I'm in this register, okay? I can actually, like, if I send something, let me go and then a response, request.send, what I'm going to send back to me is actually the request.body that I sent, for example, okay? And the request.body is going to be what I'm going to send here. Let's say, for example, I went here and I added many spaces, not there. Can I add spaces right here? It doesn't even allow me, I think. Okay, I added spaces like this, for example, okay? This is a lot of spaces. So if I actually add it this way and I send, you would see that I get that spaces even when I respond. So you could say that when I send something with like, you could, do a mistake, because nobody is going to send like some data, like a name or a phone that has spaces on the right or spaces on the left. That doesn't happen. So we have to actually add a tool, which simply all it does is just trims all those spaces to send the data like trimmed, which helps like the data that we have and it doesn't ruin what we have. So how we're going to do this is just simply you go back. I have this tool, you could say, or a package that is called trim request. So a trim request is actually, I like it. So what I can actually do in my route, I can actually first of all install it. So I can go plus, and then you can actually click right here and then click on it to read more about it. So let me click on it. And you can see how it is. Okay, how it works is an express middleware to trim all incoming request objects. And you can see that if we have spaces right here and right here, this is what we're gonna get in the end. So it actually does work. So let me actually let me install it first. So yarn add and then trim request. And then I can go back to my route and then import it. So import trim request from trim request, and I can simply go back here. So in the post right here method that we have, or guess whatever, I can call that. Let me add this here, and then I can decide I wanna trim the body or the parameters of query, but I like to trim it all. Okay, because also like you could send something like in the parameters, like for example right here, and like some sort of data equal, and you can add this and then spaces, and it really could create a problem, especially when you're searching or doing some stuff. So now that we've added all of that right here, so if I went back now and actually send, look what's gonna happen. So I send and I get the data trimmed, and this is such a cool addition that really helps. So I'm not adding just packages that don't help. We're really trying to do something very professional, and I'm sure you all like this. So we've done this, and let's keep going. See you in the next video.